This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This morning, let us explore Serenity, the fifth enlightenment factor, followed by group meditation. In an echo of what I said during the previous live stream, as a very miserable neurodivergent with CPTSD, I hoped that if I meditated really hard and became a Buddha, I would be serene. Imagine my surprise when in my studies I learned that serenity was a prerequisite to enlightenment. When I was in my late teens, my horribly abusive stepfather committed suicide. And as you can imagine, I felt great turmoil and many conflicting emotions. And in my confusion and in my ignorance, I thought the wise thing to do, I thought the spiritual thing to do was to pretend I had no emotions and to suppress them. Consequently, I began presenting with symptoms of depression that plagued me for many, many months. It was explained to me that I was experiencing that because I had failed to process the complex array of turbulent emotions I was enduring. So, what is the key to processing our emotions? All complex life forms, on this planet have evolved an autonomic nervous system. The more we actively compete against it, the more miserable we are. The more we actively compete against our own autonomic nervous system, the more we exhaust the front of our brain, begin presenting with symptoms of depression, and trigger our amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. However, when we passively cooperate with both facets of our autonomic nervous system, the anger and aggression of our amygdala is calmed, and the empathy latent within our anterior cingulate gyrus is gently stimulated. The more we cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system in the middle bit of our spinal cord, the more emotional awareness we have, the less our emotions are able to sneak up on us and tackle us. The more we cooperate with the parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the tippy top and the very bottom of that same spinal cord, the more we're able to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Any good English teacher will remind us that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. What is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand. So the key is by cooperating with our autonomic nervous system, we're able to process our emotions. Now that's all fine and dandy, but we need some rules of thumb. Otherwise, we don't know how to do that. The most efficient way for us to practice mindfulness is for us to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this every time we feel our body inhale. The most efficient way for us to practice meditation is for us to silently and mentally recite the verb rest every time we feel our body exhale. Now, this is not breath concentration. We treat our breathing the way a piano student treats their metronome. They're not focused on the metronome. No, they're focused on the posture and the keyboard and the notes on the page. But they have a peripheral, passive awareness of the metronome. And that metronome helps them to coordinate everything else, their posture and the keyboard and the notes. Similarly, we've already explored how the active focus and active analysis made possible by our medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex sow the seeds of depression, anxiety, and aggression. However, we've also learned that every time we inhale, we're already wired to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, known as the nexus of our sympathetic nervous system, that makes it possible for us to notice in a very special way, for us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all mind's antics, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings, all of them, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. So similarly, we don't have to force our sympathetic or our parasympathetic nervous systems to light up, because they're already lighting up. They are hardwired to react. All we have to do is make the conscious decision to stop fighting against them and begin passively cooperating with them. That's why we play with the word this. That's why we play with the word rest, to remind our intention that we are not trying to follow the patriarchal ideal of being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Instead, we're trying to relax into the matriarchal ideal of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. And that is the nuts and bolts rule of thumb for us to be for us to savor the serenity that is our birthright. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream together. Let us sit and breathe, and let us sit and breathe and notice and rest. The moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about every 5 minutes or so. Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Let me catch you up to speed. The most efficient way for us to practice mindfulness is for us to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this every time we feel our body inhale. The most efficient way for us to practice meditation is for us to silently and mentally recite the verb rest every time we feel our body exhale. It's not our job to actively concentrate. That will trigger our amygdala and multiply our experience of both anxiety and aggression. What we want to do is cooperate with our autonomic nervous system. For that, doing so calms our amygdala and gently stimulates the anterior cingulate gyrus, which is the seat of non-neurotic empathy. And so this method of silently and mentally reciting this and rest and harmony with the phases of breath is the most efficient way for us to do that, for us to cooperate with our autonomic nervous system. So that's all we're doing in meditation, is we are taking a break from our lifelong habit of actively competing against our own autonomic nervous system to our very great detriment. It's just that simple. Let us use the tip. Upon the tip of our left index finger, let us rest the first knuckle, the bottom knuckle of our right index finger. This causes our energy to gather at our crown. The most efficient way for us to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. The most efficient way for us to practice meditation is for us to silently and mentally recite the verb rest every time we feel our body exhale. Let us switch energetic gears. Let us switch gears so that our energy gently coalesces behind our navel. The most efficient way for us to do that is for us to rest our the lowest knuckle on our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. The most efficient way for us to gently cause our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in our chest would be for us to rest the lowest knuckle of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. In about 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening lesson, followed by the group practice wherein we each meditate like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.